I'm going to try to make a holster for my Hudson H9. I want a holster to use at the range, shooting IDPA, things like that, good solid holster for it. I want it to be leather though. So what I did here is, you can see, I just laid my Hudson H9 in here. I rolled it over like this, traced it, left some extra around the edges here so I can sew it and work with it. So I cut it out. You can see here I cut it out, and when I lay the pistol in here, the way it'll be, it'll fold like this. So I'll come down here and sew it around. Now what I've got here is I want to put this tech lock on it. So I'm going to mount a tech lock on it here. So what I'm going to do is cut a second piece of leather out, and I've got that marked across here where my holes are going to be. I'm going to mount a piece of Kydex in between the two pieces of leather, also to some added strength, hold my screws in place when I put them on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of leather here. I've got my leather, so I'm going to cut a section of it off, and I've got some pig skin. I'm going to line the interior of it with a pig skin. I just recently finished making a sewing maul here so that I can mount my piece in and sew it up. So let's get started, see what we come up with here. Leather holster for my Hudson H9. Okay, we cut out our two pieces of leather here, and I punched my holes in it here, and I installed some, you can just see there's some little small screws in the back so that my tech lock will fit right on here like this. So that way I can attach my tech lock to it afterwards. I'm going to glue these two pieces together, and then I'm going to sew them all the way around the edges here to attach them. Once I get them attached, I'll work these edges nice and smooth before I actually close it up and sew the back into the shape of the firearm there. I decided to try to add the Hudson symbol here to my holster. So I used a circle, used a quarter and made a circle, drew the lines through it to make the H. Now I'm going to go and stitch it and stitch that in before I do anything else to it. I glued the two pieces of leather together. I put them in the press here just to hold them good and tight until the glue dries. Make sure it's good and snug. We'll pull it out and start stitching it. Alright, well, take the top off the press, pop this open here, and here we go. So I just held it down tight so the glue would hold in place. We got our rivets in here to mount our T-lock on it. Went ahead and did the stitching here for the Hudson, the H symbol that they use. And let's get ready to mark it up so we can fold it and start stitching it. Alright, first thing we're going to do is see where these edges are uneven here. We're just going to put it on the sander here, and we're going to level all this up before I mark my stitching around the edge. Okay, we used the sander. We leveled all this up around here, got it looking all nice. Went back and cut where our stitching is going to go out. We just use this little tool here, cut it out. Now we're going to go through here, line it, and drill some holes in it. We put a little contact cement on our holster here, and we put it on both sides. This right here, what I've got stuck to it now, is just some real thin pig skin that I put on it. So put it on both sides, stuck it down, rubbed it on here real good. Now we are ready to, you can see where I edged it everywhere, and I went back and used a small tool, ran it across here, and put the little stitching lines in it so that I can stitch it up. We're going to let this dry a little bit before we continue on though. Okay, now to get my holes in here, I had some hand surgery here, and I need surgery on this finger right here now. So got some arthritis, so really hard for me to push them all right through here. So see how I'm making my holes? I used a little cut nail, just a finishing nail like you'd nail on a piece of trim with, and I cut the top of it off so it would fit here in the drill press, and I lined everything out, and you can see all the little, I used a roller, made the grooves, and I'm just taking the nail. It just pushes right through. Nice and easy. So I'll get all my holes set so I can do my stitching. Well, we're ready to start stitching here. I got it all drilled out. We just need to get the needles ready and get started on it. Alright, here we are. We got our leather in the stitching horse and we're getting started. You can zoom in there. You can see the stitching as we're going across there. What we're coming up with. You can see I've stitched it together all the way around. I got my screws mounted to put my holster, my belt holster on there. And let's see if I can set this here. This is going to go, it's going to mount like this, right on here, on the back. So I'm going to put a brown one on it. I'm going to stain it brown. This is just to hold it in place while I need to wet it now and put the gun in it and form the gun to it. So that's the next step now. We're going to put it in warm water, wet it, and put the gun in there so we can form the gun to it. Attaching that tech lock was probably the easiest thing I've done so far. It went right in there, nice and neat. Snaps in place, this folds up, and there you have it. So it'll be able to attach right on to your belt. Let's wet it down and see if we can shape it to the gun now. Alright, I taped the wooden dowel onto the front of the firearm here. Got that secured. We got our holster. Got my deer horn antler here so that I can rub the gun. And we've got hot water, so nice and warm water here. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to submerge our holster down in there. We're going to let it sit in there for 2, maybe 3 minutes. Let it get kind of soft. We'll pull it out and slide the gun in. Alright, I left the holster sitting in the water for about 4 minutes. 3.5, 4 minutes or so. Got it good and wet. Put my gun in a plastic bag and I slid it all the way down in here. Okay, you can see where the gun comes in and right through here. I'm going to try to find some lines on the gun and try to press them in on the bottom. But you just got to let it dry now and form to the gun. I got the gun in here, got some plastic on it, put some tongue depressors on the edges to kind of add a little extra room in there for it. And once I started pressing on it here, it had a lot of extra, so I just added a little stitch right across here to take care of that. So let's just let it sit tonight and dry and see how it does in the morning. Okay, so we've left the gun in here. We've put it in plastic, put a little dowel across the top to get the top there. We've let it dry. I've added a screw here for retention on the leather. I started to take the T-lock off of it, so we're going to go ahead and remove the belt loop here, with the belt attachment here, the T-lock, so you can attach it to your belt. And we're going to stain it, alright? So let's see how the gun fits. Let's pull it out of here. Alright, so we unwrap the gun and put it in here. It slides in here really well. Nice and snug. You can adjust it right here. There's plenty of room for the sights to go in here. So let's put the gun away and let's stain this. I just finished dyeing it, and I did the top a little lighter than the bottom there, so I'd have a little shading difference in it. And I think all in all, it turned out pretty good. We're going to let it dry. We'll mount the tech lock back to the rear of it and see how it does. We'll give it a couple of days. Okay, I've finished my Hudson H9 holster here. And you can see I've got, let me set the gun down here. You can see I've got the pig skin on the inside of the holster here. I put a tech lock on it, but I want to put the brown. I think the brown's going to look really good with it, but I used Loctite and put this on here, so I can't take this one off to switch out, and I got another brown one ordered on the way for it. So I think that'll help out a lot. So I put the gun in here and I molded it to it. I came back and added this piece to secure it, restitched this, and I added a screw here so I can adjust the tension right in here on the firearm. Use the dowel in here, of course, so that there's room for the sights. And you'll have to forgive me. Remember, I damaged my Hudson H9. I'm going to get another one. I wanted to finish my holster, though, before I sent this back in to Hudson for them to take a look at it for me. Nothing Hudson did at all. That was my own fault. I damaged it myself. They're going to try to help me out with it. But I thought the holster turned out really nice. I'm getting better at my stitching. You know, this is like the first time I made one of these, okay? I've been working on doing my lines and my double stitching here. And I used a quarter and drew this. And after I did it, I took another look at the gun. Well, you can't see it here. I took another look at the gun. I noticed they had a little break in it here and there on the Hudson. So if I do another one, I'll have to remember to do that. But all in all, the holster came out really nice. It's you can see how thick it is. It's good and thick here, so it's good and solid on there. The gun goes in. The gun doesn't shake or move. Not going to fall out. Good and tight. I like the tech locks on it. It's good and tight there, and it draws out easy. Got plenty of room for my front sight in there to draw the firearm. Pigskin's going to protect the finish on the firearm. And I'm real pleased with it. I like the holster. I like the way it wears and fits, and I plan on using it to shoot IDPA with, was what I had made it for. And it turned out really, really nice there. I'm real pleased with it.